delighted to welcome you here for an evening by performance artist Suzanne Walsh, who's presenting a commissioned piece in response to our 80th anniversary collection exhibition on the concept of collection. The work is entitled A Guided Meditation to an Earlier State of Evolution and will last approximately 20 minutes. Before we begin, I'll give you a little background on Suzanne's biography. Suzanne Walsh is an artist and writer working mainly in performance, audio, and text. They have an interest in non-human worlds, from animals to the esoteric, and in creating rifts through which meanings and realities can emerge. They also publish essays, art writing, poetry, and fiction in literary publications, including Gorse Journal, Follow Media, Winter Papers. They have an essay in the recently released non-fiction book on animal writing called Running Feet, Sharp Noses, published by Paper Visual Art Journal. Their practice has been supported by Culture Ireland, Fire Station Studios, and Temple Bar Gallery and Studios. The Arts Council added one of their vocal works, Bird Become Bird, to their collection, the first acquisition of its kind. So thank you, and we will welcome Suzanne Howard. Could have started that meeting, just meant to get into this lovely vibe of music to calm us all down after busy days.
Welcome. Today we are going to attempt to access our primordial recollection. We're going to take some time to relax and to disassemble ourselves, to recall an earlier state of being when things were simpler. I mean, who can afford to evolve in the current climate? So let's unwind. Make your body parts comfortable. Be aware of how your body feels in its composition. Breathe slowly and gently. You may like to close your eyelids and feel the arterial pumping of blood against your inner ear, teeming with blood cells, bringing oxygen to help you breathe slowly. At the very least, soften your peripheral gaze from the surrounding collection, which has come here today from the minds of others, carefully selected from their many thoughts. Find a comfortable position for your brain. Take deep breaths, slow and steady. There is no rush. There is nowhere to be. We've been here for 6 million years already in our present form. Will we be here 6 million years more? Take a deep breath, and as you breathe out, relax your body. Your lungs have 300 million alveoli to help you breathe gently and slowly. Relax your limbs, all of your arms and legs. Think of your feet. Imagine blue-green water rising over them, one by one, by one by one. Now the water rises up your calves, up your knees, your shanks, your hindquarters. Blue-green water is rising over your hands, your arms, your dorsal, up your torso, your thorax, up your backbone. Imagine this green wave of water rising up your face and its microflora, up above your head and its mane, rising up towards the ceiling and out into the sky, up into space where it's very quiet. We are awash in the fluvial landscape. Water is flowing through your gills, small bubbles of water rising slowly to the surface. Light is filtering down from way up there. We are down here in the dark, moving slowly through fluorescent beams, glowing in the shadows. Relax your internal organs, your heart and its countless veins, your liver and its kidneys. Unknot your gut and your digestive organs. You won't need them for another 1,000,000 years or so. In fact, we are approximately 541 million years ago. Methane is rising through the briny swamp waters. Here in the early Paleozoic, it is a beautiful day. We are now dissolving. There are no more backbones, only simple limbs, only a simple head for sensory input and to feed, while we browse on the microbial biofilm. Time to move sluggishly. Have you silenced all your notifications? Have you logged out of all your accounts? Have you cancelled your subscriptions? The oxygen levels are low today. There is a relative shortage of volcanoes this year. The spawning of low-lying landmasses in favorable ocean chemistry. Pillow lavas erupt from underlying magma. The tectonic plates are quiet today. We can hunt photosynthesizing cyanobacteria and algae which float in the reduced solar luminosity on your skeletal shell. Like those you once collected on beaches and took home to keep on your windowsill. And did you know that ancient human bones, taken from Carrowkeel megalithic tomb in Sligo in 1911, were found forgotten in a drawer in Cambridge University in 2003? And in the 18th century, Derry-born Charles Byrne, known as the Irish Giant, who stood 7 feet 7 inches tall, who, weary of his skeleton being turned into a spectacle on his death, expressed wishes to be buried at sea. His skeleton was, until very recently, on display in the Hunterian Museum in the Royal College of Surgeons in London, and still remains available for private viewing in the collection. What is this compulsion that makes us want to gather around us some small thing to say, we are here, or that was then, or do you remember when we, or who are they, or who were they, and were they us, or were they something else? Here in the early Paleozoic, green-blue bacteria color the sulfide-rich layer of mud we can burrow into. And you may ask me, exactly what kind of creatures are we here in this early era of evolution? Some of you have soft bodies, some of you are hard shells, some of you are 5-headed worms with a claw attached to your head. But beyond that, what does it matter? When you consider that Linnaeus, the Swedish botanist and biologist who, in the 18th century, made a system to classify all life forms, binomial nomenclature, which some critics say laid the basis for racial hierarchy. He also applied human gender systems to plants, over which there are still some question marks. The activity by Europeans in the eras to follow of discovering new lands and collecting new plants from other cultures has its roots in the violence of colonization. And now a soft rain is falling on your taxonomy. 39 trillion bacteria living on your body. And do we ever think of them? We're not isolated enthusiasts. We're not a focus group. Now we're hunting some small green algae through the Paleozoic waters. Or is this a dream? And what are dreams anyway? Are we a figment of the collective unconscious? The shared psychic space where we share symbols with each other? Psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud thought that we have the urge to collect because we seek an unobtainable object of desire. But Sigmund Freud also thought that the desire to collect arose from unresolved toilet conflict. And then there's psychoanalyst and historian Werner Munsterberger, who said in his book, Collecting an Unruly Passion, that collecting is pathological and is just a way to avoid uncomfortable feelings such as loneliness and confusion. But it only works if you keep collecting. However, the psychoanalyst Carl Jung proposes that the urge to collect is a continuation of our urge to hunt and gather. But for now, let's devolve further into a simple sponge form, and your new unique space is optimal for effective use of oxygen and energy cost in these primordial conditions. Sponge communities are prosperous as well as porous. There are no categories here. We are before all categorization. They will only read our fossilized remains in the future, and they can only guess the lives we've lived. Let us divide our sponge selves into another self. Watch it float away. Is this family? Expand your mycobacterial being. Would you be open to having your data collected? Are you in fact sure of the edges of all? You know you ought to collect yourselves, pull yourselves together. Perhaps this is a flawed guidance for memory storage. Perhaps we need to upgrade and connect to the cloud where we can be together in the future. We cannot progress without collective endeavour. And did you know that Cork University Museum is repatriating mummified remains from, including a sarcophagus, to Egypt? And other museums too, like the British Museum, is being requested to return many items to their countries of origin, including the Rosetta Stone to Egypt and the Benin bronzes. And while they're holding on to their selection of Parthenon marbles for now, the Vatican are returning theirs to Greece. Also, the Irish annals of Inishfallen are kept in the Bodleian Museum in Oxford. And there was a call by a Cork TD to return the 16th century Mount Keith chalice from the V&A Museum in London, one of thousands of architects taken to England from Ireland, who said that they would return it, but only on loan. And we have some of our own questionable items in the collection at the National Museum in Collins Barracks. 12,500 items from the Pacific, the Americas, and Africa. Not all are of questionable origin, but there is a Buddha that was stolen, for example, from a Burmese temple on an imperial outing in 1885, and now reclines in the museum. And there are in museums collections of the bones of animals we've made extinct. We have dodos and Tasmanian tigers, we have murmurations and constellations and several varieties of black holes and shoals, and in zoos now exist some of the last of their kind, and we have all the time in the world, and we have days into weeks, into months, into years, into millennia. We have words into sentences, and every culture has its pantheon, its gods and its spirits. And in the Bible they started with one God, but then there was the Holy Spirit, and then there was Mary and Jesus and all the angels, and then all the saints, and how many of them, and Noah's Ark, and 2 by 2, and that demon who said, "My name is Legion and we are many." Every play has its cast. Every street is in a neighborhood which is in a city, and every book is in chapters. And I'm speaking in this alphabet, but before that it was just a collection of sounds to be deciphered. It doesn't matter here in the Paleozoic, because your eyes are not eyes because there is no one to call them so. Your tongue is not a tongue. Your mind is just a simple group of cells, and all you have to do is feed to filter the slow-moving waters. To feed is to form a recipe which is in a book, which is on a shelf of many books, which is in a library. We are in a city, in a county. We are wrote down, and we are recorded, and we are remembered, and then we will be forgotten, and the world will be unmade. And did you remember to put the bins out? Because what is not selected will be thrown away, and what is not desired will be deleted. And did you keep all your messages, your emails, and your photographs, and are they even in albums anymore? And who will keep your memories? Where do they belong? Time for you and your 39 trillion bacteria to come back, to move forward in time, to grow antennae and feelers and tentative legs and 4 stomachs and maybe 4 legs, and wings or antlers or extra heavy intelligent brains and backbones. To pull yourselves together, to gather yourselves, Slowly let the blue-green water recede, flow downward from the ceiling. There is no rush. Let it wash over you. Let blue-green water flow down over your body composition with its limbs and its organs and its microbiome and its microflora. Take your time. We have plenty of time. You'll get home in time for dinner. It's a beautiful day. We're here in the Anthropocene, and that's a problem for another day. Open your eyelids if they're closed. We're in the collection. We're in the gallery. We're here in our microcellular selves. Thank you.